Aloha kako! Welcome back to the Nea Papakahana Online Professional Development for our 6th grade curriculum. Let's go from Mauka to Makai. In this video, we'll be covering Unit 7, Measurement and Data. Here are the Common Core standards that will be covered in this unit. Please feel free to pause the video if you would like to read them more thoroughly. If you have a copy of our curriculum, you'll be able to find all of these standards at the very beginning of the unit. As you can see, the Unit 7 standards mostly come from the Common Core domain of statistics and probability, as denoted by the letters SP. Although the domain is called statistics and probability, in 6th grade, the main focus is only on statistics, and the probability concepts do not take a major focus until the 7th and 8th grade levels. The standards in this unit focus on answering statistical questions, which are questions that we ask about a collection or a set of data. So instead of looking at a single tree and asking how tall it is, a statistical question will look at a small forest and find a way to best describe the heights of all the trees in this forest. To do this, the answers to statistical questions often look at a set of data and describe its center, its spread, and its shape. The measure of center is an attempt to find a number that best describes the typical data in this data set. In our forest example, a good choice of center would give you an idea of the height of a typical tree in the forest. The measures of center that will be learned in 6th grade include mean and median. In practice, if you randomly choose the data from the set, it will likely have some differences from the typical data described by the center. These differences, or variations, are expected in statistics, and the measure of spread is an attempt to find a number to best describe how much variation should be expected. In our example, a forest with a small spread would have trees with heights that are very similar to the typical tree, but a forest with a large spread would have many trees that are way shorter and way taller than the typical tree. In 6th grade, the measures of spread that we'll learn include the interquartile range and the mean absolute deviation, or MAD. Finally, while spread tells you how much variation is expected, the shape will describe how the overall variations appear. A forest that only has very short and very tall trees and a second forest with equal amounts of short, medium, and tall trees could have the same center, the same spread, but a different shape. Unlike the center and spread, which are described with numbers, it is common to see the shape described qualitatively. In addition to analyzing the data in a set, we often want to visualize it. This is done by displaying the data on a number line, often as a dot plot, a histogram, and a box plot. After we've had a chance to make sense of the data, we will want to summarize it in terms of its context. This includes, but is not limited to, thinking about whether our choice of center and spread are appropriate for the situation, whether the total number of observations or data is important, and whether the method of getting or describing the initial data was appropriate. The Unit 7 activity that we'll be reviewing in this video is the Module 16 Displaying, Analyzing, and Summarizing Data activity. In this activity, we'll be looking at a pololu, which is a type of Hawaiian spear made from very hard wood from koa trees and kauwila shrubs. Here's a set of data showing the lengths of the pololu in the museum. In part 1 of the activity, we'll be using a number line to display this data with a dot plot. Please pause the video and make a dot plot and then do part 2, where we have to describe the distribution of this data. Okie dokie, so your dot plot should look something like this. We should see that the data is distributed like a bell or a triangle. The bell peaks at 9 feet and then tapers off as we get longer or shorter than 9. All of the pololu are between 6 and 15 feet. In part 3 of the activity, we need to find the length of the pololu that is most common. From the plot in part 1, we can see that the most common pole length is 9 feet long, with 4 poles. Part 4 asks us to find the mean and the median of this data. Please pause the video and calculate these values. Welcome back. As we can see, when we sum all of the lengths and divide by 18, which is the total number of poles, we have a mean pole length of 9.8 feet. When we list the pole lengths in order from least to greatest, we can see that the median pole length is 9.5 feet. Part 5 asks us which of these three values that we got from parts 3 and 4 best represent the typical length of a pololu. This is an open-ended question, but what's most important about this part is the justification. It is really important that the students are able to choose a measure of center and have a good reason for their choice. Even for students who think that more than one choice is appropriate, they should still take this opportunity to look for good reasons for why they feel that way. Perhaps the reasoning has to do with the range of values or the shape of the dot plot. This is a great opportunity for the students to have productive disagreements. We end this activity with another open-ended question. How do you think life would be different in ancient Hawaii if woody plants were rare? We pay a lot of attention to events and people who shape society, but natural resources play a big role as well. Please take a few seconds to imagine how resources have shaped the history of the Hawaiians and even the histories of other societies around the world. Most of the questions in this activity are pretty straightforward. Usually, the most confusing part of 6th grade statistics is choosing the most appropriate measures of center and spread. To be fair, this is usually not a simple task. In fact, many government agencies and large corporations are constantly looking to hire mathematicians to figure these things out. There are a lot of variables to consider when analyzing statistical data, but in 6th grade, we mostly need to understand a few simple ideas. Firstly, if the dataset is very small, then you can't have a lot of confidence in your findings. For example, if you ask 2 students if they like to eat lau lau, and they both do, then still, you can't say with a lot of confidence that many students in your school like to eat lau lau. However, if you ask 200 students if they like to eat lau lau, and they all do, then you can certainly say with a lot of confidence that many students in your school like to eat lau lau. A second big idea is that means are susceptible to outliers, but medians are not. So if there is one teacher in the school who has a 6-figure salary, then that would dramatically increase the mean teacher salary of the school, but will leave the median salary largely unaffected. The uncertainty that is introduced by the field of statistics and probability can really throw off math students and math teachers. So we believe that all classrooms will benefit from a discussion about these concepts. Another modification that we recommend for this activity is to turn it into a writing project. Students can use this opportunity to write about the resources that they depend on today and where these resources come from. As our students mature and make their way in the world, we should empower them to be aware of how resources shape our lives, how Mother Earth takes care of all of us, and how we can best take care of her. Well, that's it for this video series about the 6th grade Let's Go from Mauka to Makai curriculum. Mahalo nui for joining us. Ahui ho!